I have a tradition when I'm reading. Before I start any book, I read the first line and then the last line. In this video, I'm reading the first and last lines of every book on my TBR for this month and trying to predict the plot based on it. Will I fail, or will my book nerd instincts lead me to victory? Probably the first one, but stick around and enjoy the show. Hey, you might even be able to make a better prediction than me. My TBR is a little different from what I've seen on the internet. I split it into two categories. The primary TBR, which is all the books I will for sure read, and the bonus TBR, which is some extra books I either read after finishing the primary list or swap out with primary list books if I'm just feeling like something else. This video will cover both. And starting off, the primary TBR, we have Pierce Brown's Golden Sun, the second book in the Red Rising saga. This is a book I am highly anticipating reading. I read the first book in the series last month, and it's already one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time. Anyway, for the sequel, we have the first line. Once upon a time, a man came from the sky and killed my wife. And then we have the last line, and I know we are undone. So once upon a time, a man came from the sky and killed my wife, and I know we are undone. So light spoilers here, but the first line, obviously, once upon a time, a man came down from the sky and killed my wife. That's obviously in reference to Ao, his Darrow's wife in the first book, because he's a red originally, and then he goes, it's the Red Rising, he goes to the Gold Institute. So this is all I've read of this book so far, and based on the first line and the last line, my prediction is going to be, the book starts out, Darrow is working with the governor, the high arch-governor or whatever, because that's what the last book, it was the end of the last book. And this line is probably in reference to like, once upon a time a man came from the sky and killed my wife, and then like something about how it's like, and now I serve him, or like something like that. And then for the overall plot of the book from that, my guess is that since it's focusing on that arch-governor, it's going to be about him rising in the ranks in the arch-governor, because that's kind of this whole series, is the red is rising, right? And then the last line is, and I know we are undone. So maybe this is a loose plot prediction, but he's rising in the ranks, he's getting really close to the arch-governor, other stuff starts happening, you know, and then maybe something with the Sons of Ares goes wrong, and his position becomes vulnerable, and maybe, and I know we are undone refers to he's talking to maybe the leader of the Sons of Ares, or Ares, whatever his name is, and they're done. Maybe it's like they've been found out. So that's gonna be my prediction for the plot for that one. All right, next, yeah. Oh, and this month I'm actually planning on reading more of the Red Rising series. I just don't want to jump ahead in the series for this video in case I get a spoiler for this book, because I've read all the books up to this point, which is one, but I don't want to, Anyway. Next up, we have The Hero of Ages, the final book in Mistborn Era 1. I read the first two in a week, so I've clearly been sucked in, and I cannot wait to see the end of Vin's story. So let's see what the beginning and end can tell me. So we have the first line, Marsh struggled to kill himself, okay? And the last line, no, I'm not troubled. In fact, I think everything is going to be all right, finally. Okay, so first line, Marsh, if you haven't read the first two Mistborn books, light spoilers, but Marsh is the character who is the brother of one of the main characters in the first book, Kelsier, and he becomes an Inquisitor, which is like this giant metal monstrosity, like iron steel thing, and he's got like spikes in his eyes. He sees through like where metal is how he like figures out where things are, I think. Anyway, in the second book, he's up to some like shady shenanigans. We don't really know what he's up to, so my guess is that he, based on the second book and based on this line, Marsh struggled to kill himself, he is like being compelled to do the Inquisitor things, the Steel Inquisitor things that they're supposed to do. Whatever it is they're doing, we're really not sure. They were up to something in the second book, but he doesn't want to, and so he's trying to kill himself, but he can't do it. He like won't bring himself to do it. My plot prediction for this is Marsh and the Steel Inquisitors are trying to protect or help the ancient evil that was released in some way. Maybe like take a new body. He's trying, like, he knows he's gonna have to kill Vin to take her body for the new evil thing. I don't know, it could be cool. And then it's going to end with the standoff between them where Vin is going to win, and they're going to defeat the ancient evil, and everything is going to be all right. My third book is Project Hail Mary, a book that some of my friends have read and loved, as well as I've seen on the internet a ton as a great book. I've been meaning to read it for a while. It's by Andy Weir, the guy who wrote The Martian. And on top of that, the trailer for the movie just came out with my glorious king, Ryan Gosling, also known as Ken. And so, it's a perfect time to read it. So anyway, the first line is, what's 2 + 2? Something about that question irritates me. And the last line is, who here can tell me the speed of light? 12 kids raised their claws. Okay. So unlike the previous two books that I just did, this is not part of a series, or at least it's the first book in the series, and I haven't read any of it. So I don't really know much about what that's gonna mean. But so my guess is, what's 2 plus 2? Something about that question irritates me. Maybe he's like a student, maybe, or maybe he's a teacher. Something to have to do with the school. I don't know that much about this book, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I literally have not even read a plot summary, so I genuinely have nothing to go on here. But what's 2 plus 2? Something about the question irritates me. And the last line is, who here can tell me the speed of light? 12 kids raise their claws. So maybe this is about a school, and this is like a teacher or another student. I'm gonna go with him being the teacher. I think he's the teacher. I know that he has to go to space at some point. That's about the only thing I know about this. So maybe he's a teacher, and he happens to know a lot about astrophysics or something. And so the government recruits him, and they're like, "Hey, we got to send you to space." And he says, "Okay, I've wanted to go to space my whole life, so I'm going to space." And then he comes back, and then at the start of the book, the kids are not interested in what he's done. And then he comes back from space, and now they all want to hear they all know about the speed of light. They've been really interested in space because now they have a connection to it, maybe. And so the moral of the story is like learning through experience. I don't really know, but that's going to be my plot prediction for that, I think. So on to the next one. I actually had on my bonus TBR for June, as you may remember, if you've been looking at my community posts, and it's Jemison's The 5th Season. So this is a Hugo Award-winning novel that I'm super excited to read. I actually brought it with me to France on my primary TBR last month, but I swapped it out for Well of Ascension once I finished Mistborn because I needed more. So the first line for this one is, "Let's start with the end of the world, why don't we?" And the last is, "Tell me," he says, "have you ever heard of something called a moon?" Okay, let's start with the end of the world, why don't we? So my guess is the 5th season, it's the name of the book, has to do with the end of the world. It's like maybe like a prophecy of something. It's like we have summer, fall, winter, spring, right? But maybe there's a 5th season, and they uncover the prophecy, and it turns out it's gonna happen really soon. And then it's like post-apocalyptic maybe. And anyway, so connecting to Tell Me, he says, "Have you ever heard of something called a moon?" Maybe the moon disappears. That has something to do with the 5th season. Like all of the seas go flat, and so there's no movement, there's no heat being generated, and so it all starts to freeze. And that's the 5th season, maybe. And anyway, so then the book ends. I know it's part of a series, so the book ends, and maybe they're gonna have to go get a moon to fix the world. They're gonna have to like somehow create a new moon. That'd be kind of cool, I feel like. So that could be an interesting plot. So we're just over halfway through now, and we've got a big one here. Another Hugo Award winner in Hyperion. So this is a sci-fi novel that I'd heard of before, but never knew a ton about. I have a mega TBR with all the books I find that I think are interesting, and this one was on it. So when I was prepping for this video, I checked it out, and it seemed really cool. So for the first line, we have, "The hegemony consul sat on the balcony of his ebony spaceship and played Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C-sharp minor on an ancient but well-maintained Steinway with while great green saurian things surged and bellowed in the swamps below." And for the last one, we have, "The time of execution was set for sunrise on the following day." Okay, so the little I know about this book tells me that it's similar to Ringworld in that they're exploring a new planet, I think, and the Hyperion is the planet. That's about all I found when I was looking it up. And so the hegemony consul sat on the blah, 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 blah. So I don't really think that that has much to do with the basic plot. I think that that's just set up. I don't know if I can do much for the plot with that one. But for the last one, the time of execution was set for sunrise on the following day. So that tells me that the main character probably either is going to be executed or someone he knows is going to be executed, which means that like I can reverse engineer that and say that the plot is about him doing the thing that would have gotten him executed, or the other person doing the thing that would have gotten them executed. They're exploring a new planet, so maybe they're not supposed to go to the new planet, and he went to the forbidden planet along with this group. And I'm going to go with the assumption that he's being executed. So he went to this planet to explore it. Maybe that's where the consul is, and from the first quote, and they're not supposed to find it. Maybe that's the government planet or something, and he is going to be executed for going to find it. That's going to be my guess. But I also know that this book has a sequel, so it's unless it has multiple protagonists, my guess is that he's not going to die, so I don't know exactly how that's going to go. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be my plot prediction for that one. So just a couple left on the primary TBR now, and the next one is kind of out of left field. We have The Light Pirate, right here, by Lily Brooks Dalton. I mean, that's right, I don't just read fantasy and sci-fi, right? Although actually, since this book is post-apocalyptic, it's kind of both, but it's different, you know what I mean? It's not high fantasy, not traditional sci-fi. So first we have Frida watches Kirby from the kitchen window while she washes Yukon golds beneath a thin trickle of water. And last, the whole swamp pauses, held between two palms of light, above and below, listening for her answer. But Wanda doesn't want to hear it. She already knows how this story ends. Okay, so the little I know about this book already tells me that it is about a flood or a hurricane in Florida, I think. So it's contemporary, but it's post-apocalyptic, right? And so my guess is that the basic plot is going to have something to do with like Florida floods, and it's post-apocalyptic. Like I don't know. But so we've got the quotes. Frida watches Kirby from the kitchen window while she washes Yukon golds beneath a thin trickle of water. Okay, Frida's probably a mom, and Kirby's probably a kid. I guess it's going to be a girl. I don't really know. But that it sounds girlish to me. So I'm gonna go with that. So Frida and Kirby are doing stuff. This is before the flood, I'm gonna guess. She's washing Yukon golds, which are potatoes, so she's making dinner. And so my guess is that this is gonna be, because they aren't mentioned, the character in the final part of the book is Wanda. My guess is gonna be that Frida and Kirby both die in the flood. And so this is like, it sets them up and then they die, and it's like they're an example of common people that just like all have died. Then we go into the post-apocalyptic area, where everything is a swamp in Florida and people are trying to maybe like start a new society. That's gonna be my guess. And Wanda doesn't believe in it, or she really wanted to believe in it, but now she knows that it's inevitable that it's going to fall because of something that's gone wrong. She already knows how the story ends, she says, or maybe, I don't know. This is really hard, guys. Surprisingly, predicting plots based on just the first and last line is harder than I would have thought, huh? Okay, and then for the final book on the primary TBR, we have The Ringworld Throne. Yes. I'm still dragging it. Yes, you and me, you and me are going to be reading this book in the Big 25. So this is the third book in the Ringworld series by Larry Niven, a series that fans of the channel will know that I'm obsessed with. The first line in this one is, "The hindmost danced, they were dancing as far as the eye could see beneath a ceiling that was a flat mirror." And the last is, "And the lid closed and he could rest." Okay, so this is the third book in the Ringworld series. Like I said, my prediction for it based on the previous two books is going to be, and if you don't know, in the second book, I did a review of it, but it's kind of weird, so you don't need to watch that one. Basically, Louis Wu, the main character of the Ringworld series, saves the Ringworld from crashing into the sun. And so the hindmost danced, they were dancing as far as the eye could see beneath a ceiling that was a flat mirror. That doesn't really tell me that much. The hindmost is dancing, so my guess is that that's celebration, but the thing is that the hindmost is a Pearson's puppeteer, and so my guess is that the dancing maybe doesn't mean the same thing as it would mean in human culture, but then at the same time, I don't know. So it could be that he's just dancing in celebration, or maybe they're on the ring world because the ceiling is a flat mirror. I don't really know. And the last is, "And the lid closed and he could rest." So that is going to be Louis Wu having successfully saved the ring world or taken over the ring world. So the book is called The Ringworld Throne. In book 2, Louis Wu pretends to be a god on the ring world, and he like saves the civilian people and all the different breeds of humans and stuff. And so my guess is that this book is going to be him taking over the ring world. That's going to be I mean, I think that's the best prediction I can give. And based on those two quotes, I think that fits. Maybe the hindmost takes him back to the ring world, or he asks the hindmost to take him back to the ring world, and then he takes over it. Or maybe they crown him, the people in the ring world crown him the king, but he doesn't want it, and so he has to figure out how to like get out of it or something like that. That seems kind of Louis Wu's style. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't really know, but we'll have to, when I read this one, I'll have to go over that. It's tricky. Now, on to the bonus TBR and time for the lightning round. I'm going to tell you the first 4 lines of all 4 books, and you have to figure out which book I pulled them from. I'll reveal which one was which at the end, and you can tally up your score. So, the 4 books are Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, Wool by Hugh Howey, The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and Eldest by Christopher Paolini. And the first lines are, in no particular order, "The songs of the dead are lamentations of the living. This was the laughter of youth, of souls who had not yet come to grips with where they lived, who did not feel the press of the earth on all sides, who in their minds were not buried at all, but alive. Prince Raudon of Arlan awoke early that morning, completely unaware that he had been damned for all eternity. And at the height of the long wet summer of the 77th year of Sendivani, the thief maker of Camor paid a sudden and unannounced visit to the eyeless priest at the temple of Perilandro, desperately hoping to sell him the Lamora boy. Okay, remember your answers, write them down if you need to. And now, for the grand reveal, we have the Songs of the Dead are Lamentations of the Living as eldest. We have This is the Laughter of Youth, of souls who had not yet come to grips, blah, 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 as Wool. Prince Raudon of Arlon awoke early that morning as Elantris. And finally, At the Height of the Long Wet Summer, is The Lies of Lamora by Scott Lynch. That's my TBR this month. Let me know how you did in predicting the plots in the comments, or how I did, especially if you've read the books. No spoilers though, please. I may already have figured out the plots, but I still have to read them. Mr. Kojima, do you have anything else to add?